Hey guys, my name is Ben Whitley and this is my story. I was adopted as soon as I was born, just into a typical Christian family, and so was my brother, and he came from a really bad background. We're not actually blood related, but we're still adopted by the same family. I grew up at a church actually right down the road from here my whole entire life, just the typical kid going to church every Sunday morning and every Wednesday night. And it was pretty normal and regular, but I never really realized what God really wanted for me at that time. So I just grew up just going to the same church events and the same youth group things the whole entire time. And then around my 6th and 7th grade year, I got really interested in what my brother was doing, and then I realized like the drugs and all the partying that he was getting into, and that really drew me towards that just because I always wanted to be like my older brother. So I started smoking cigarettes when I was about 6th grade, 7th grade, and then my brother asked me if I wanted to like smoke weed with him, and that's when that all started. So I started smoking weed regularly probably when I was like 11 or 12. And then I started buying my own packs of cigarettes when I was about 11 or 12 by having people buy them for me. And then it was just me pretty much walking around downtown Shelby trying to get high whenever I could in 7th grade. And as I got into high school, my mom thought it'd be a good idea to go surround myself with more Christians, so she sent me to Mansfield Christian. I still remember my first day. I was homeschooled, so I was only there for 2 classes, and I just had these kids come up to me because they knew my reputation and asked if I smoked weed. And I just said, yeah, obviously, so, because everybody knew that of me. So my freshman year, I was actually living with my brother also. So he would either drive me to school or I'd ride my bus to school, and I'd just be high every single day I came into school, so the kids knew there. So after that, I made some friends there who were just like me, who just wanted to party the whole time. So freshman year is when I made my core group of friends, but we were kind of like the outcasts at the school just because all we ever wanted to do was party and just get as high as we could. Going into sophomore year is when it started getting really bad, and that's when every single weekend I'd have to be high or have to be drunk. Like every single dollar that I made went to alcohol and went to weed. And that was just like my life from there to senior year. It just kept going and kept going and kept going. And it's actually like a miracle that I'm even alive right now. I remember times at snow trails just getting as drunk as I possibly could, buying whole bottles for myself and just getting high as I could, and just driving home or driving to a friend's house, not even remember how I got there. And the snow and just living is a miracle for me just because I shouldn't be alive, and I've had so many opportunities where I've almost crashed going so fast and being so drunk. And junior year, it got to the point where weed wouldn't be enough for me, so I started smoking a lot of fake substances, like this stuff called Posh, which is pretty much just bath salts in a plant type form. And then that wouldn't be enough for me, so I'd start doing this other stuff called synthetic cocaine, which is just like snorting straight bath salts. And I'd be up for days, and I just felt terrible. And I was outside kind of praying. I was like, God, if you're real, I ask that you just let this leave my body. And right there I threw up. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks, God. Because I still believed in God. I still called myself a Christian throughout this whole time. And the next day I just kept doing it and continued to do it. And it's kind of crazy to see like where God has brought me from today. And then my senior year, I was still doing the same things, getting high, getting drunk every day up until March. And my friend Brian introduced me to these guys. They all had the craziest testimonies. One guy was a heroin addict, for example, and completely healed of his addiction. And he just prayed with me and talked to me. And I was just like, no, dude, my life is fine. I'm having fun. And one night I was supposed to go to a party, and instead my friend Brian invited me to this thing called Awakening, which is like a young adults worship night. And I was like, no, dude, I got a party to go to. And then right when I said that, that kid called me and told me the party was canceled. So I was like, oh, maybe I should go. So I got there, and just everybody that shared their testimony with me was like really what I needed to hear. I could just feel God's presence in that place. And that night I decided to rededicate myself, and that was in March. So I've only been a Christian since March 21st, and I've seen God move in crazy ways. And like I just got completely wrecked by God and really felt His presence that night. And I was so on fire for Him, and I was like, why have I not experienced this sooner? But it was awesome to be able to experience that with that group of guys and everybody who was surrounding me. So the next day, I was just so pumped on God. I was like, okay, now what do we do? So we went to Walmart, and I actually got the opportunity to be able to pray for people. The first verse I ever read after I became a Christian was Revelations 3:20, and it just talks about inviting God in, and He's knocking on the door, waiting on us to open that door. And it's really cool to think that we don't have to search for his presence, we don't have to search for him, because he loves us so much and he's just waiting on us to allow him to come in. I definitely regret what I've done, but at the same time I love that I have this testimony, and I really thank God what he has brought me through.